Georgia has smashed another early voting record. With a week to go until Election Day, 40% of all active voters in that battleground state have already cast a ballot. That announcement comes from the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, yesterday. Nearly 3 million Georgians have already cast ballots, either in person or absentee. That blows away the past record set in 2020 by about 1 million voters. Both campaigns have spent significant resources in Georgia, a key swing state that is a crucial pickup in the race for the White House. Joining us now, managing editor at The Bulwark, Sam Stein. Sam, let's forget about the election and just talk about the Yankees being down 3-0.
I don't want to jinx it, but it's been glorious.
So far, so good. But we'll put a pin in that for now. Let's talk about these early voting results. Georgia, we just highlighted, but we're getting them from a number of the battleground states. Is there any lessons we should take from right now?
No.
Okay. Give us a little more than that.
I just think if you're going to be analyzing early voting, you're probably going to be disappointed in some way. Past as prologue here, we thought Hillary Clinton was going to crush Florida because of early voting trends there. I will say, if there's one larger thing, it's the engagement seems pretty high. But that could be because Donald Trump has encouraged Republicans to actually engage in early voting, right? So we just don't quite know what these trends say. I will say the one state where we do have some sort of indication is Nevada. Republicans have done really well in person and rural votes particularly well. Democrats are kind of waiting for Clark County, their stronghold, to come in, but it hasn't yet. Talk to campaign folks and Democrats. They still think it's going to be okay in the state. But those larger trends are that Republicans are engaged earlier. It doesn't mean necessarily they're going to win, but they are engaged earlier.
Right. What we don't know is, are these early votes new votes, or are they simply people who normally would have voted on Election Day, so therefore you're cannibalizing that total?
Just don't know. Don't get too excited about it.
I agree. There's a limit to what we should read into it. But let's talk about the map.
Sure.
There's some sense among Democrats that the battlegrounds they're feeling most anxious about are North Carolina and Arizona.
Right.
That they still feel they're in this with Nevada, as you just said, Georgia, and the blue wall still seems to be the best path.
I keep talking to people, and it's really the blue wall. Honestly, it's kind of funny because this was the Biden path, and it's probably going to be her path if she can pull it off. People are comfortable about Michigan and Michigan and Wisconsin. Look at me, I'm too tired. And then Pennsylvania, of course, is the big one. That's their comfort zone. Obviously, if they can pick off a Georgia or North Carolina, that'd be great. But everything with the Omaha district in Nebraska, and you get to 270. And so it is a bit poetic that she could end up getting there through the Biden path.
Yeah, I'm actually traveling with President Biden later today. He's got an infrastructure event in Baltimore. But you have to wonder...
Could have stuck with Joe after all.
Well, I was going to say, I've talked to someone in the West Wing who note that her most likely path is the blue wall. And what is her closing argument? Democracy. This is Biden terrain.
Why even change in midstream? They should have just stuck with the guy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The polls will have reflected that. Let's talk about where the Republicans stand right now.
Sure.
Because they are dealing with the fallout from the MSG rally.
That was quite a rally, huh?
It certainly was. And more to highlight than just that one comment from that comedian. But there's still a lot of confidence projection there. Now, I think this is sort of how it always works, right? Democrats are anxious because they want to motivate their voters out of worry, out of fear. Republicans like to be overconfident, in part because Trump demands it.
Yeah.
But also, how much of this is, do you think, them setting the stage, like, look, we're going to win big. So therefore, if they lose, that fuels into the idea that, hey, this was stolen.
This was rigged, right? I've thought about that. I think some of it is just pure psychology, right? Like, they boast, they're extremely confident. Democrats are predisposed to anxiety, like severe anxiety. I saw some quotes this morning where Trump people were like, we've never seen data this good, and maybe so. But I do think part of it is also laying the predicate for if they do not win, they can challenge the result and say it's rigged. And so that is obviously foreboding, right? I saw a tweet from Elon Musk last night where he was talking about the early voting data, which we just said, don't trust any early voting data. And he's like, we're on to some sort of like cosmic and grand victory. And I was like, wow, if this guy's conditioning all of his followers, millions and millions of people, to expect some huge victory in Pennsylvania, and it doesn't happen, imagine the reaction to that.
Yeah, it does seem like they're laying some groundwork for exactly that. And we, as the vice president, will surely note tonight from the Ellipse, the last time this happened, there was violence.
I remember that. Not good.
No, not good at all. It's that kind of analysis that we turn to you for.
Hey, anytime, man. You should come back to D.C.
Sam Stein, managing editor at The Bulwark. Sam, we really appreciate it.